Hey everybody, welcome to another Horizon Forbidden West game guide. In this guide, I'm going to again talk about something that you would most likely need to do if you want to achieve a perfect file. Why do you need to do this? Let's take a look. If the goal is to try to get as many objects as possible, then this is a way to get the components of your Polecaster, the broken tool, the machine cable, and the machine scrap. You get these components in the tutorial, and then you put them together to get your Polecaster. So this is a way to get those components from that section. So that's one reason to do this particular, what I call tutorial glitch. The other is, unfortunately, the game does suffer from a lot of little glitches and bugs, a lot of it relating to the objectives section of the quests. And a lot of optional objectives are unfortunately rewritten when you reload or from save, or reload from save or die. And for Reach for the Stars, the two optional objectives, kill the machine, scan the machine, are actually rewritten. And since it's the first main quest in the game, you can imagine that those options are quickly removed. There's a lot of optional objectives similarly rewritten throughout the game, both side quest and main quest. But this is an opportunity, if you do the tutorial glitch correctly, to at least get those two objectives back. So, it's not the best, but it's at least something. And if you're, again, in search of the perfect game, then part of that definition, at least for me, crafting my perfect game, is to do absolutely every single thing you can, to max out everything you can, to do the best you can whenever you have the opportunity. So there is this. The problem with doing this tutorial glitch to achieve these three items and to get those two objectives back is that this is a legitimate glitch that does destabilize the game. And so the goal is not only to do the glitch and obtain these objectives, obtain these items and fulfill these objectives, but to also leave the glitch and not essentially create any permanent game-breaking issues. Okay. Now, what exactly is this glitch anyways? Well, it's a way of returning to the tutorial section of the game and then getting those components, getting back those objectives, and then finally leaving the tutorial. But the implication, unfortunately, is that because you're playing the tutorial again in an inappropriate place, your ability to do certain things in the game are removed. For example, the ability to highlight these climbable points can sometimes be removed. You may not be able to highlight a machine's tracks. You certainly won't be able to highlight their weak points. And in some instances, you also lose the ability to have the game progress from day to night. That cycle is turned off. Those are things that can, once you realize they're at risk, you can't avoid those issues. You have to know, pretty clearly what to do. In addition, if you go into this tutorial world and use that glitch, you lose the ability, for instance, to go into a hunter's pouch and assign various things. These are all, in my opinion, of course, game-breaking issues. And you want to leave that tutorial world without any of those game-breaking issues. Okay? So you have to ask yourself and determine for yourself whether it is worth the risk. I'm about to show you how to do it. It would be somewhat lengthy, but in my opinion, since I was able to do it without having any permanent game-breaking issues, my feeling is that this actually should be done. But my suggestion is to save this until the very, very last part of your perfect game attempt, and you should absolutely have a manual file saved beforehand. And then after you do this, you make another save. It should be a separate file. So there needs to be some sort of manual file that does not have this glitch in place, just to be completely safe. But I've done this many, many times. In the setting of various pretty bad game-breaking, game-ending glitches. And I don't believe that this particular one really has any effect, but it's always better to be safe than sorry. So with that preamble out of the way, let's go ahead and do it. we're going to travel to the mall of the arena right here. And I'm going to choose to go to the campfire. I've already done this, of course, so I don't need to make a manual save. But again, please make a manual save before embarking on this. Now, once you're done, go back and just label the base, mark the base like so. So you'll be able to find it later on. This will be important for reasons that will quickly become apparent. So the first step of the tutorial glitch is to escape the arena. I'm not going to belabor how to do that. This is something that many videos have covered. And I have myself personally many different videos, so I will refer you to those. So let's go ahead, talk to Kala, and we're going to go to Grim Prospects, which on patch 1.026, this method is definitely the easiest, most consistent, and most smooth way of escaping the arena without a lot of drama. Let's go down here. The Ravager, of course, will be alerted, but we're going to be leaving him pretty soon anyways. We'll go up here, jump, and then jump over to this ledge, slip around the corner of this gate right here, and then to this gate, you want to run toward the right of midline, just like that, and then quickly kneel. And when you kneel, you will slip off of the gate, and if you do that, you should be able to go underneath, like so, and you're going to go right through the gate. It changes, again, Aloy's geometry to allow her to do this nicely. There will be more details on the other videos, but in any case, just leave, and then you'll call your Sunwing or Water Wing right about here. There are going to be invisible barriers where if you hit those barriers, it will fail the challenge but take you back into a cutscene, which is not useful. So you need to fly over the bridge right here, and then once you go past this bridge, you'll fail the arena challenge but not be actually warped to the cutscene. You'll be able to stay in the overworld. We call this arena world, and as you can see, I'm flying directly back to the base. In this situation, you are not allowed to fast travel because in this sort of weird limbo of the arena world, you're not able to access the overworld map. So you can't fast travel back to the base, you have to fly there. Of course, I could do this from memory. I played this game for so long, but for those of you who haven't, it's useful to make that mark so you know exactly where to go. This is going to take you a couple of minutes. As you can see, it's about 1,300 or more steps away. It's going to take a while even on the Water Wing to get there. So while we're flying, let me just say that how we're going to do this is we're going to go back to the base, and then we're going to use the New Game Plus spike to start a New Game Plus, and that's how we're going to get into the tutorial, okay? And then from there, we're going to get what we need from the tutorial, and then we're going to leave the tutorial. So remember, the check mark is we want to get the components of the Polecaster. We want to, when you get into, by the way, the arena world, the two objectives that were optional that had previously been rewritten will automatically be returned to you. So that's already done. You don't have to do anything special for that. You got it. So after getting the Polecaster components, now you also have to reacquire all of the gameplay elements that the tutorial introduces to you. If you escape from the tutorial world before getting those gameplay components, you will enter the regular game without them anymore, and that's unacceptable. So part of the whole reason of sticking around is to advance through the tutorial just enough that the important gameplay elements, which of course if you were to play the game for the first time, they're trying to teach you, but now you're not, is to make sure that those gameplay elements are intact before escaping through the tutorial glitched world, okay? And then after that, I'll take you through a few things to make sure that what you've acquired is stable and the objectives are stable. If any of these things don't work out, understand that you may have to do all of this over again. In other words, escape from the arena, fly all the way back to the base, re-enter the tutorial world. You may have to load up your manual save, hence why that's so important to do. This is a very destabilizing thing, and so not everything will go according to plan all the time, and you may have to reset and start over, okay? So here we are. We're at the base, and we're going to start a New Game Plus through here. We're going to go story mode, obviously. We're going to replay the tutorial, and then the game will load you outside the mall of the arena. And then when you do that, you are going to get this window. You're going to say, okay. And then we're going to restart from save. And that should load up the cutscene for the very beginning of the game as you're about to enter the tutorial level. Okay, very good. We're going to skip this. So now you're in the, and you see that you see this thing again. So again, it's very glitchy. So now we're in the beginning of the game. Varro's back. And here we're just going to, use our focus, have her use the same dialogue again. The difference, of course, is we have the Sunwing, we have all of our weapons. So this is definitely not like before. Now, there's going to be an invisible barrier here that prevents you from even climbing over it. The only way to get over this barrier at this point is just to call your Sunwing or Water Wing, and then hover up and fly over this barrier. And then from here, just follow what I do carefully. We're going to skip a lot of this because obviously there's no point in dwelling on it. We're going to fly directly to the Zenith headquarters. Since we've done this before, at the beginning of the game, there should be a lot of the old ladders and shortcuts and stuff like that already done for us. So you can see that we'll fly right to the Zenith base. Here's a ladder right here. And so we're going to get to the area where we pick up the Polecaster components rather quickly.
And there they go.
Looks like they left a carcass behind.
These are all just leftover dialogue from earlier, in the tutorial sections. So from here, you don't have to wait for the dialogue. Since we've been here before, you can already see the components. Just go there immediately and start picking them up.
Entire camp wiped out.
You'll be given the option between her dialogue.
Acid. That explains the smell. And it looks like something big came in from above.
There's the machine cable.
Crashed right through the camp. And through the wall. I should take a look at the rubble in that gap. Whatever came through here brought this down as it went out. If I can dislodge some of the debris, we might be able to squeeze through. Maybe I can find something to help in the camp.
Aloy, over here. I think I got something.
My focus picked up a couple of things to check out.
Okay. So at this point, if we check our inventory, you will see that you have gotten the broken tool as well as the machine cable and machine scrap. I, of course, already had one, so I picked them up again for the purposes of this guide. I now have 2 of these, right? If you check the quests, you will see that under the main quest, Reach for the Stars, you will see that the 2 previous objectives that were optional, scan the machines and kill the machines that were gone, is now back again, right? So that's already given back to you. Make sure that Gather Ridgewood is still there. Unfortunately, the optional objective Craft Blast Traps is not returned to you, but we'll take what we can get. Also, disturbingly, if you were to check everything, which I did, of course, you'll see that my launchers, the objectives have actually changed as well. This is not usually the objective log that you'll have in an unglitched game. You can see that 0 out of 3, Gather Stalker mine launchers. This is now changed. Okay, so don't worry about that for now, but this is not a change for the better. And if you go to the arena, you will also see that this is also changed now for the better, that instead of 2 out of 2 Gather Bristleback Tusks, you're now left with 0 out of 2. So understand that there are going to be objective changes for the worse as well. These are the only ones that I found. And believe me, I've looked at every single objective on side quest errands to make sure there's no other issues. So at this point, we've kind of achieved what we've come for. But bear in mind that you're still not able to open the Hunter's Pouch. You're still not able to actually scan for weaknesses, and you still cannot scan for tracks. So we have to continue with the tutorial until we obtain those abilities. So the next step, of course, is to keep on going, and I'll tell you when you get those abilities back. So we're going to go through here. This is all should be familiar to any of you who've played the game. We're going to keep on progressing. And so the key part is coming up right here. This will be our first opportunity to be able to scan machines for their weak points and also highlight their tracks. It's this little ledge right here. So in the regular game, what's supposed to happen is you're supposed to climb over it and it'll get to a cutscene. In this glitch state, this does happen most of the time, but occasionally it will not, and I'll tell you what to do if that does happen, if it doesn't happen. But more times than not, when you try to climb over this, it will trigger the cutscene, so hopefully that will happen.
Up here.
Moving up.
So as you can see, cutscene has been triggered. We're going to skip it. And then at that point, you will now be allowed to scan, highlight their weak parts, as well as highlight the track. So again, these were actually abilities that were not available to you until you hit this particular section. So it's very important. You can't leave without doing that. We continue to play through the tutorial according to what they want us to do. So kill this burrower. Varl will have killed his. This is just like the regular tutorial. And then we're going to take our time to kill the 3 burrowers here, so we are allowed to continue. It's very important. So it's very important to continue all the way up until you get to the Ostrom camp, because if you don't do that, you're not going to be able to get into Hunter Pouch.
Got them all. I've been meaning to mention, I noticed you have a new look these days.
Yeah, I know. Didn't have a lot of time to shave when I was...
My suggestion is actually, if that cutscene doesn't play, to just simply start over and redo the redo the entire section, because it should play most of the time. You can get around that by flying and using the Sunwing or Waterwing, but it's better not to do that. It just makes this guide even more complicated. So anyways, we're here to the Ostrom camp. It's very important that Varl continues to talk and follow you. Head deeper into the camp until you get to here, and then Varl will begin to say that it's a good idea to craft some traps.
Looks like another camp.
While we're here, maybe we can make some traps of our own. Might come in handy against machines.
Good idea.
Okay, that's important, because when he says that, then the game allows you to craft the blast traps, and so what you can do finally is access your Hunter's Pouch, and then what we'll do is we'll change it to blast traps, which is right here. You can see that even if you had 12 of them to begin with, the game will automatically turn into a 0. So choose that and then craft one of them.
There. Explosive trap made.
Okay, so now at this point, let's again sort of do our checklist. We've gotten the Polecaster components. We've reset the objectives from the main quest, Reach for the Stars. We have the optional ones, those 2 optional ones back. Unfortunately, some of the objectives for the salvage contract, mine launchers, as well as the arena, opening the arena, has also changed. And we have now gotten back all of the gameplay elements that we normally are used to. The highlighted yellow marks on the climbing section, ability to scan enemies' weak points, ability to highlight their tracks, and the ability to go into the Hunter's Pouch. Now we're ready to leave the tutorial. It's very difficult to do that. So how are you going to get out of this place? Because if you just go to the map, you actually can't leave the map. See that? It's actually forcing you to stay here. And so in order to actually leave, you have to go to the quest section, and you want to choose one of these hunting grounds. I choose, I guess, the Rain Trace. And if you look at the lower right-hand corner, you're going to see something called Show on the Map. So if we press this square button, it'll actually begin to go to the Rain Trace. And by random luck, it will go through a couple of places where you can fast travel to. It won't linger on them very long, and so you have to be very quick with your button presses to highlight and then go travel there. If you fail, just simply do it again. So let's hope I can show how it works. I'm going to press the square button right now. So I'm pressing X constantly, getting ready to trigger. So I press the X and I press the right trigger to instantly fast travel. And that's how I get out of the arena world. I quickly fast travel out. So actually right before it hits the Rain Trace, I was able to do that. So hopefully you can pause the video and see kind of what happened. But again, you want to keep pressing the X button as your icon floats over the map. And if it floats over a place where you're able to fast travel, then press the X followed quickly by the right trigger will get you there. Okay, so now we're out of the tutorial world and we're back into the actual real game world. And if you look at your inventory, you now have your components, and you also have your main quest with the optional components as well. But unfortunately, you still have your problematic mine launchers objective, and you still have a problematic arena objective, right? Okay, so the first thing we do is we're just going to essentially restart from save. And at this point, we want to make sure that the objectives do not change, because sometimes it will, and if it does, you have to restart and do the whole thing over again, because it means that it didn't work. So look over here under the main quest and just make sure that both optional objectives are still there. You can see that it's still there, and make sure that Gather Ridgewood is still there. In some parts, in some runs of the glitch, just depending on what you do or don't do, the Gather Ridgewood objective sometimes disappears, and one of the optional objectives, either scan the machine or kill the machine objective, will actually also disappear. You don't want that, okay? But if you do exactly what I do, like I showed you earlier, that shouldn't happen. Now, unfortunately, again, the mine launcher's objective, as you can see, has changed. It's now degenerated from 3 of them to only 1 checkmarked objective. And under the arena, you've gotten the 2 out of 2 back, but you've also lost the last objective, which is to bring the components to Kala, right? So I hope that if you rewind, if you've forgotten, you'll see that those objectives are actually changed after the reload from start. So not to fear, what we're going to do next is we're going to now fast travel to the actual arena itself, right here. And after fast traveling, I want you to restart from save again at the campfire outside the mall or the arena. And once you do that, you need to look again into the objectives. You will see again, hopefully, that there's 29 objectives, that both optional objectives are still there. Gather Ridgewood is still there. So this is stable to RFS, reload from save. And if you look at your salvage contracts, you'll see that now it's back to normal. You now have 2 checkmarked objectives. Talk to the awesome leader and give the mine launchers to the awesome leader, which is what you should have started with. But this is what you will default to, which is acceptable for the mine launchers objective. It's in and of itself a bit glitched, but this is an acceptable objective list. And if you go to the arena and open the arena, you'll see that now it's back to normal. Both the bristleback tusks as well as a rollerback sinew are 1 out of 1, 2 out of 2, and you do end with deliver the machine parts to Kala. If you were to take the time to look at all of the other objectives and sub-objectives, you will see that the logs are all normal now, okay? So these are kind of the steps you need to do to repair so-called the damage that was done from the tutorial glitch world entry. At this point, there's still a few things left to do. I like to now take a trip here to the workbench. You are going to have to replenish, of course, the blast traps. Now, you can just as easily buy them from Plainsong or whatnot, but since I'm at the arena anyways, and you have infinite resources, I just take the opportunity to just craft 11 of them. It's not, too big a deal. So let's go ahead and do that to get those blast traps back. Again, this is a consequence of going through that tutorial glitch. And then when you do this tutorial glitch, they also take away all of your hunter arrows. I don't know why, but that's just, again, part of what happens. And so you'll need to craft those back again. Again, not a big deal. You can buy them or craft them. Since we're here at the workbench and we have infinite resources, there's no problems just crafting all of that back. So now we're all good. Of course, we're not going to craft this one. We already have that from a previous save file, so we're not going to craft that. And then I simply talk to the hunter and get our resources back. That was the fast travel pack we used to escape the tutorial world. And then we're going to get all of this back. And now we are made whole again. Oh, remember, we don't need the blast trap. We're going to replace that with our with our flying mount call here, okay? So now we're back to where we started right before doing the tutorial glitch. You can see we've gotten our polecaster components and we've gotten back those 2 optional objectives. We can travel back to the base. This is really end game stuff. Here we are back at the base. You can restart from save again just to check to make sure that everything you've done is stable to RFS. You can see that the special gear remains. You can see it's here, and if you look at the quests, you can see that the main quest is still stable, okay? Optional, gather Ridgewood. You can see that the salvage contract is still good, and you can see that opening the arena is still good. So this, in a nutshell, is how to do the tutorial glitch to achieve those last little tiny bits you want for a perfect game, and also how to get out of the tutorial world without breaking the game and making things messed up. Remember, again, you must have a manual save before you do any of this, and if you save after it, make it onto a separate file. I hope that was somewhat useful for you, and until next time, do take care.